Hey everyone, it's Rob Watson, the module leader for TECH3501, and this is the overview video summary of what we're going to cover in the 15th lecture, which is what I thought I'd do actually, because we've been drawing on the Lenny and Tashi book, the Communication for Development model, which draws from an ethnographic approach. So I thought it'd be useful for us to actually take a step back, if you like, and actually ask some questions about what ethnography is and how we can use it and what circumstances that we might use different aspects of an ethnographic, if you like, a people-centred approach to a more descriptive way of evaluating community projects, community situations, community development activities. So what we'll cover in this session is we'll ask the question about the principles of ethnography, and it's each setting is unique. Each setting that takes place has its own, if you like, ecology of interactions, relationships, expectations, learned prior knowledge and history, culture, expression, and these can often the danger is that we make the assumption that people communicate and people live their lives in exactly the same in a uniform way. Now we might have certain drives and processes which are similar and are related, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they are fixed and that they are reproduced everywhere universally and globally. So what we are looking for is to turn our attention to those things which are enacted and are undertaken in each situation that is unique to the people who are involved with that situation at that particular time. And in the process of doing this, it gives us some insight into the variability and the process of change when we start to read multiple accounts of what's going on in a community media project, and we read lots of different ones from different places. We can start to, if you like, build up a mosaic of different corresponding activities. So an ethnographic approach it's a systematic way of thinking about applied observational empirical research, and it suggests that one of the things we have to do as a researcher, somebody who wishes to evaluate a project, is to be immersed in the setting, to be part of the project. And to do that, we're looking at acting as participants ourselves. So we're not just standing back as observers, we actually take part so we understand and get a sense of what is being enacted. And to do that, we have to acquire skills of listening and understanding. So it's we don't impose, we don't test, we don't hypothesize on a social situation, but we observe and we listen and we participate. And we record our observations in journals and field notes, and we can use multimedia recordings and videos and blogs in order to assist us and to help us with this. And then there's a crucial element to this, which is that we reflect on our own observations. So we're not expecting ourselves to be thought of as separate from the process. Indeed, we have to account for our own presence within the process. So we're going to draw on some work which I've put this together for other modules which I've run for a few years, which looks at netnography, which is a variation of online digital sociology, but it's a useful quick guide to get a sense of what, and you can apply it either online or offline. It's the processes, the research process are pretty much similar. But it's how we locate and think about cultural, social experiences, and what the integrated patterns of experience are that we might want to take account of. So there's a sense that in a social situation, a life world as it's termed, is that there is a set of common interactions. And what we want to think about is in terms of what are those interactions. So we look at things, how symbols are used, what kind of languages are generated in the process of interaction. What are the rituals and norms that take place? We're all subject to these practices because that's how we express our culture. There's certain ways of behaving in some circumstances, and in other circumstances our identity is expressed through these patterns of behaviour. And the role, which is a very strong thing that we'll focus on and we'll look at next week, our role is something that is played through in terms of a performance or an enactment of in different circumstances with different people, and we have expectations about what our roles are and how we manage them. So it's kind of, this is the process of social management. This is how we form communities and groups and societies, and this is what gives us, if you like, the basis of our social interactions. So we are seeing this as something in which we engage in a series of what's called generic social processes. So we participate in a situation, we form and we coordinate our associations, and we engage in the cultural life world. Now that's a really important way of framing our evaluation, because it allows us then to, as much as possible, form our thinking about a situation from the inside as somebody who's engaged in that situation, rather than as an external outsider. Objectivity is not our requirement here. It's more a sense of plausibility of the story that we tell. So we'll do that. You do this by applying generic social processes, by acquiring a perspective, by achieving a sense of identity, by doing things. What is it that you want to accomplish, and how you develop and manage relationships that support and facilitate your ability to get things done, and that kind of sense. And what's really good about this process, this way of thinking, is that it includes emotionality. It includes those things which we as humans are often told, systems thinking and complexity theory and game theory and the many other ways that you can apply, if you like, a structural analysis to social relationships, aren't really capable of dealing with a sense of emotionality. So belonging, participation, achievement, deferral, displacement, all of these things have an effect on our psyche and our emotional state, which is as important as a more formalistic type of study. So we'll go through these in some detail, and we're going to ask some questions about how they're applied in a setting which is participative. We'll think about the idea of kind of what form of fieldwork and note-taking and observations do we need to undertake in order to achieve this and make sense of it, and then how do we report this. So it's kind of going through a fairly standard checklist of ethnographic techniques, which are very useful and powerful for helping us to achieve what we want to achieve, and how we maybe use computers to facilitate this, and really what our kind of sense of connection with other people and organisation that we might draw from these techniques. So I've put the notes up, or I'm just about to put the notes onto the DMU Commons Wiki. That's at wiki.our.dmu.ac.uk in the TECH3501 page. If you want to have any discussion, share any examples about the issues that we'll cover in this lecture, then use the DMU talk, which is talk.our.dmu.ac.uk. If you log in, use the LDAP login. That's the login method to access the notice board, the messages that are already there, and you can create your own topics and add to the discussion in different ways. So, yeah, all the notes are up online, or will be online, and I'll see you at the lecture.